Breakfast with KXVU.
Trickstar Radio.
All right, then we are live. This is Breakfast with KXVU from a brand new series we're running from the office. It's going to be called From the Office. We're going to take this opportunity to kind of interview some prestige guests that visit Brighton down on our fair shores. And we're kicking off today with a very special guest indeed. We do have Skepsis in the building. How are you doing, sir?
Yes, bro. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm really, really good. It's good. It's good to see you. Obviously, we've known each other for a while now.
I know.
And we've kind of known each other since back in 2016.
Been a few years.
We actually met each other through a very, very unusual scenario. For this sort of thing. We actually met each other at a battle rap event.
Yeah, you were DJing. Actually. Yeah, I remember I came up to you. I was a bit of a fanboy back then. Like, who's this DJ saying?
It's good to see though, man. It's been an amazing year for you.
Yeah.
And you're someone who always seems to be taking like that next step, striding forward and whatever. Like, how would you define 2019? Like, how's it been?
Yeah, it's been good. Obviously, every year I'm just trying to sort of constantly up the levels and push above what I've been doing, because you don't want to sort of become stale regardless of what's current, and what you just want to stay in your own bubble doing your own thing, you know. So I've just, for me at the moment personally, I've been trying to get a bit more, you know, worldwide outside the UK. I've obviously been over to America and that recently, but just trying to push the sound out there, because what I do is a very UK based sound, but they are sort of catching on. So
how did you find the response over in America?
Interesting actually, because I went on a 2-month tour with Jaws, who's a big American DJ, and myself and Holy Goof were warming up for him. We take turns before him, and so a few fans would know us, but I don't know, the American crowd's very different. But on the positive side, they are very receptive. There's a lot of energy. They love, you know, jumping up and down. Like it's cool to see, and like to play a lot of very UK influenced music over there. I'm sure it's the first time they've heard a lot of it as well.
Yeah, so almost you are kind of introducing them to a lot of the stuff you're playing.
Yeah.
Was there sort of one tune you noticed over there that kind of popped, or you could almost like rely on, and you kind of, that was one you'd play multiple times?
Hard to say off the top of my head, but my track got quite a lot of American support off people like Diplo and Jaws, so I feel like when I played that one, they kind of knew it a bit, and it's obviously got the American Run DMC samples and everything, so it kind of, they connected with it more. But like you said, I guess we're at the moment, we're more like a gateway to the UK at the moment, because what Jaws does is very much just sort of an American style of what we do. It just needs the bridge in between to, you know, bridge the gap.
Yeah, of course. I think it's an amazing thing. Obviously, taking a sound that is very UK and taking it to an American audience and succeeding. It's an amazing thing to do. So, and I think a lot of people in the UK are quite grateful for the fact that you've gone over there and had such a good reception.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 2019 in general, obviously, you've been involved with a lot of releases. Like, what would you say your biggest thing of the release wise has been this year?
Well, it was the very tail end of last year, but I'm still going to count it because it's probably been my biggest recent release. It's probably my track with Fine Art, or also known as Friction, from Brighton, Hove. But
I'm a Hove boy. It's all good.
You know, I didn't want to get it mixed up. I'm not from around here, but yeah, we released that in December last year, but it's probably been my biggest track of recent times, and that's been well. I haven't actually released much this year, but I've just been stockpiling sort of music ready to release next year. I've got sort of 10 tracks almost ready to go, so I think started next year is going to be sort of an onslaught of music, because I've been a bit quiet recently, but still ticking over, you know.
Yeah, I think as well. I think when you're someone who does perform a lot, and you do perform a lot, like you have a lot of shows,
it's hard.
Yeah. I can imagine like trying to go from that more sort of live energy to the studio energy, back to the live energy. Yeah. It must be difficult to kind of. How do you get yourself into studio mode? Because I know this is something a lot of people like struggle with. A lot of people are quite like, oh, I just can't find the time to like get into studio mode. I can't find the time to like sit down, get through like writer's block or whatever. Do you have any like methods?
I mean, for me personally, like you said, the touring is sort of counterproductive for being in the studio, because you're away from home, and then you only really get 4-day weeks, and then you've got other things to do as well, and like, you know, it's hard. But in terms of actually getting in a sort of creative mindset, I'd say it's not really something you can force. Like, I'll not be able to make a tune for like 2 months, and then I'll go in and I'll make one in like half an hour, and I'll be like, you can't really force creativity, you know. It's just, and I'd say like advice, if you sort of are struggling to do anything, I think just sort of walk away, do something else for a bit, you know, sort of stimulate your brain in a different way, and then go back to it when you feel a bit more inspired. And like for me, while the touring is sort of counterproductive. It is good to be in a live environment, with music, and that also inspires me at the same time.
Do you find the people you meet a lot of the time inspire you as well? Because you must meet a lot of people on the road.
Yeah, I think when I see other people's sets as well, that because it gives you like a fresh view on DJing and music and what they want to do, and that always inspires me definitely to like sort of. I know, for instance, I don't really make house, but whenever I go over to Ibiza, I come back, I really just want to make house music and just stuff like that. Like, yeah.
Amazing. Right, we're here today to do something very special. I know this is something I am very much looking forward to, because I think it's going to be it's going to be interesting to a lot of people. Obviously, for someone who's kind of very much blown up in this era of kind of bass music, we're going to run through 3 tracks that have inspired you, inspired you to get involved in music and inspired you to kind of just be involved in general. The first track on here, it's from My New Lane. A track entitled Contact. Now this is one I remember from like way back. Like, I can see the grin on your face already, like just thinking about it. Why'd you put this one in there?
So this is quite a distinctive memory for me, actually, because I remember I was at a house party when I was 17, which I think was about 2013, and my mate, who wasn't even sort of into bass music, he was like, "You need to listen to this track, like." And it's sort of 4x4 dark, that bass house, like Black Butter era, you remember? And I was like, this is mad, like, and I remember I heard Contact by them as well soon after, and I was like, these guys are like smashing it. And like that track, I guess like the dark 4x4 sound, it inspired my early sound, which led on to my later stuff. So My New Lane to this day, definitely one of my biggest inspirations for doing what I do.
Amazing. Right, let's jump into this one then. My New Lane, this one is Contact. We're live on Trickstar Radio. Don't go anywhere. We're live from the office with Skepsis. It's going to be a good one. Right, then we're back inside. Skepsis joins me this morning live from the office. Trickstar Radio Business this morning. Breakfast with Kovu, a very esteemed guest with us. So we're running through tracks from yourself, not from yourself, or tracks that you have put in for us today, that are very much tracks that have inspired you over the time to kind of do what you do now. The next one comes from someone you've definitely done shows with, kind of worked with on a regular basis. Notion. This one is Crooklyn. Give me a bit of info behind this one.
Yeah, so like I said, Notion's someone that I do shows with often. I'm quite good friends with him now, actually, but obviously I won't be shy to say like he's one of my favourite producers. Like, I show him mad love. Like, he's so talented, and recently he's been cutting through, which is good. But I think Crooklyn, when it came out a few years ago, it was sort of one of the tracks of the modern bass era that really kicked off the more modern 4x4 sound, and to this day it's still one of my favourite tracks. So clean but so heavy, like, and it still bangs like every time I hear it.
Wicked. We're going to jump into this one next. We're live on Trickstar Radio. This one is Crooklyn by Notion. Skepsis is in the building. It's a very enjoyable one this morning. Don't go anywhere. Trickstarradio.com. The brand new app is out now. Make sure you go and grab it from the App Store. Yes, sir. Right, then we're back in the building. Skepsis joins us this morning. This is a very enjoyable one, I've got to say.
Yes.
Live from the office. And it's a real pleasure to have you in here, obviously. This isn't the first time you've been on Trickstar. It's actually you. I remember you guesting on Bush Baby's show a long time ago. So, like, someone who's been very much involved, like, in the Trickstar, like, sort of archives from some sort of way back when. The days of like Facebook live streams and stuff like that.
I think we live streamed those ones. That was the main source of coverage.
Yeah, I remember it back in the day, man. It was really enjoyable. We're going to finish up this kind of run through of kind of tracks that have inspired you over the years to go way back, like way back, to get you into sort of want to look at like the track that got you into dance music in general. Obviously, there's different eras of dance music, and growing up, we all kind of enjoy different things over different periods of time. But this one is like, I define this one as like a cult classic for what it is.
For a lot of people.
For a lot of this one. This one's Tarantula. Talk me through it.
Yeah, so I clearly remember this was the first drum and bass track I ever heard when I was 15, I think, maybe around that age, maybe like year 9, 10 in school, whatever. And at the time, obviously, I didn't know what drum and bass was, and I just heard this fast-paced sort of high energy. I remember listening to it in my headphones. I think it was on the way home from school. I was like, it fully just filled me with like a feeling. I was like, this is mad. Like, and it just made me want to sort of, from there I sort of got into like Pendulum, Prodigy, those kind of people, which led me into my wider sort of introduction to dance music. But yeah, I'd credit this track as probably the one that got me into doing what I do now. And it's mad because I have played with Pendulum a couple of times this year.
How was that?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was actually in Ibiza as well. So it's just the one guy that does the sets now, but like it's really cool. And obviously I spoke to him and stuff, which was nice. Fanboy moments.
Yeah, it must have been. Do you get many of them? Because obviously you're playing a lot of quite high-ended shows a lot of the time. Do you ever, and festivals and stuff like that, do you ever bump into people?
Yeah, I do. But I try not to sort of fanboy too much, even if inside I'm like, cool, bro.
Who's the person you've been most excited to meet?
Hard to say, but Pretty obvious, but I've handed over to Chase and Status a couple of times recently, and obviously it's always an honour to do that. I play right before them and stuff. It's like,
I mean, they're down at this point in like UK dance music, real like
biggest,
legendary status, like multiple albums. We're going to jump into this one then. This is Tarantula Pendulum. Don't go anywhere. We're live on Trickstar Radio. We're in the building with Skepsis, and it's an absolutely fantastic morning here. We're back in the building, Trickstar Radio this morning, live from the office. It's been a very enjoyable experience sitting down with you today, dude.
Thank you
obviously.
for having me.
Whenever you're in Brighton, it's always a pleasure to come and say hi. Every time, man. It's always an enjoyable one. So we're going to finish up here. I want to kind of look through what you are, what's on the way for Skepsis. In what's 2020 saying? What's the vision in 2020 saying for Skepsis?
Can't say too much.
That's
what everyone says, but no. Like I said earlier, I've got lots and lots of music. I've been laying low recently, especially busy with shows, but got like an onslaught of releases. In terms of shows and stuff, just going to be trying to up the levels, like venues, production, everything. Like, and I think that's the key to constantly evolving as an artist. You got to keep sort of doing that.
Are there any sort of shows on the way you're looking forward to getting involved with? Or?
I've had a few festivals for next summer. Probably will be doing another UK tour at some point, a couple of one-off headline shows. I've got one coming up in London that I haven't announced yet, but I'm going to be putting sort of extra production into those, so that hopefully make them special and stuff.
We're going proper like big EDM sort of.
I also did a 3-hour set in London in April, which is the first time I've done like an extended one, and I really enjoyed it. So I can expect a couple more of those. I think a wider variety.
Because obviously you're someone
play some of my grime bits.
Yeah, this is the thing. I remember like you're not someone who's kind of like shied away from making other genres as well. You're someone who does have quite like a solid like breadth of kind of musical background in regards to what you've kind of made and enjoyed over the years. So it must be quite an enjoyable thing to do, to go through and do like the multi-layers.
It is, yeah. And I mean, what I produce at home, when I'm on Logic, it's like what I actually put out. I make so many different genres. I think one day I would love to put some of it out, but just right now I'm just sort of, especially in the areas I'm less renowned in, I'm just kind of working with it. But I've always been from London and stuff. I've always been in touch with loads of different genres. It's like I sent you some of my old bits.
I've still got them in a folder.
I've got more that I've been working on. If I finish them, I'll let you know.
Oh, fabulous stuff. Right, we're going to finish up then. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you this morning, man. Thank you for joining us. The first episode of the of From the Office here on Trickstar Radio. Don't go anywhere. Make sure you do download the Trickstar Radio app. It's out now at Trickstar BTN, at Cub KXVU. What's the app for Skepsis?
At Skepsis Music UK.
Bang, and we're done.
Big ups.
Waking up Brighton.
Breakfast with KXVU.